Apologies for having you come up with new storylines for today, but Jayden Daniels is our starting quarterback.
And thus, we have some different storylines for the day. Thanks, Dan. I think that there is a little bit of misconception about this process. And I think what is happening is people are confusing the inevitable and the predetermined. And I was listening, I will at them directly, not in an effort to be confrontational, but just because I'm not trying to subtweet anyone, if you will. I was listening to Grant Danny on the way in, and they were talking about how, they could have done this in April when they drafted him. Like they could have done this in the spring. Why did this take so long? And this wasn't a competition. What are the benchmarks he had to pass? And the reality is this was a competition. But don't confuse the inevitable outcome, which is Jayden Daniels was going to beat out Marcus Mariota for reasons that became very clear very quickly, or for one reason that became very clear very quickly, with that this was predetermined and there wasn't a competition. This is different than last year. Last year, Sam Howell took every single one rep that there was from the spring through the summer, all the way until he was benched for Jacoby Brissett, and then Jacoby hurt his hamstring, and Sam went right back in there. That's not what this was. Marcus took the first one reps of the spring. Marcus started as the technical one. He was given ample opportunity to win the job. He didn't, because the one overriding factor that made this outcome inevitable is Jayden Daniels is the better quarterback right now. Again, don't confuse that with not having a competition. Technically, if I played LeBron James in one-on-one, there would be a competition. Now, whether you can pick the score, you can pick whatever, you can pick anything, and as long as the rules are, hey, we were playing one-on-one, it's competition. Could you give, if we're in a game to 11, could you give LeBron 10 points? Because it's like, hey, it's inevitable that you're going to win anyway. So we're just going to make this shorter for everyone. You could, but that's no longer really a competition. Actually, you can make an argument the other way that to make it a true competition, you'd have to give me 10 points to make it even remotely competitive. But the idea is that, like, it's fair, and you let the skill level determine the outcome, not any special rules, not any restrictions, not anything. This was a competition. Jayden Daniels, in said competition, beat Marcus Mariota badly. Now, do we all realistically know that Marcus isn't here to win the job? Marcus is here to be exactly the guy that Dan Quinn complimented him on in that soundbite we just played. Someone who has made Jayden even better. So Marcus helped Jayden beat Marcus in the competition, because that's why he's here. It's why Brian Johnson must have gone to Adam Peters and been like, I know the guy that I want to bring into this quarterback room to mentor whoever we draft. I saw what Marcus Mariota did with Jalen Hurts last year, and I think he could be really valuable for whether it was Jayden Daniels or Drake May or J.J. McCarthy or whoever else they may have been considering with the second pick, Caleb Williams if he fell. Ultimately, it wound up being Jayden, and Marcus, for a lot of reasons, including play style, is a tremendous resource for Jayden Daniels. But he's not someone who's nearly as good of a football player. And I don't think any of us anticipated it being this definitive. I don't think, one, that Marcus would be this far behind as a player. There's, frankly, I don't have a better way to say it. Marcus was not as good as I thought he would be in practice. I knew that he would be up and down if he gets into a game. And there's part of me that thinks Marcus is probably a better game player than he is a practice player. And that's not saying he's awesome in games. It's just the out-of-structure stuff is kind of where he's been better because he's a special athlete and can run. But I don't think, on a much more important note, that we expected Jayden Daniels to be this good this quickly, to be this efficient, this fastidious, this decisive with the football, this ridiculously accurate at an NFL level, have this understanding of defenses, to put in, I think we knew he had a great work ethic, but to figure out how to harness that work ethic into productivity this quickly is special, and it is rare. And that's why he won the competition, not because it was predetermined. Because I can tell you right now, there is zero chance he's starting if they don't think he's ready. This is a group that is very much doing long-term thinking. And you can say, oh, this was decided the second they draft him second overall. That he was going to be the eventual starter? Yeah. But they want him to succeed. And if they did not think that he can succeed no matter how bad Marcus Mariota is, frankly, or was during training camp, whatever, if they didn't think that Jayden Daniels was ready, that he didn't have the ability, the skill, the knowledge, the processing speed to go out and not only protect himself, but succeed, to stack good things, and for when the bad things happen, to have the understanding to learn from them, they wouldn't play him. Because that's how you ruin quarterbacks. But he does, and he is. And thus, he's QB1. But this is not last year. This is not, oh, Jacoby and Sam are going to compete, and then Jacoby never gets a single one rep. This was a competition. Jayden Daniels won that competition decisively. He won it decisively, frankly, weeks ago. But the thing about being process-oriented is you run out the process. And seeing him against New York and seeing him against Miami were the final stages in that process, and there is no reward. You don't get to start the season with 15 points on the scoreboard if they named him the starter 15 days ago. There was no reason to do it. And I think the way this group operates, they are relatively drama-free, and that if there was media trying to stir up stuff, why haven't they named him? Then people are just going to look at you sideways as consumers, as listeners, as viewers, as readers. They'd be like, who cares? Like, yeah, we all know it's going to happen. There wasn't drama, and yet it was delayed longer than it had to be, but had to be is a relative term. Yes, it's been pretty clear for a long time. Jayden Daniels, starting quarterback, duh. But it happened because he did not only beat Marcus Mariota handily in a competition, but because he passed all the tests, and you cannot pass the tests, including the Dolphins joint practice and game, until you take them. These were the final tests. He passed them. Jayden Daniels, QB1. Anthony, I have a question for you, sir, before we get to Michael Phillips at 5 and anybody that wants to chime in on the phones. And that question is, when I was gone, because I do feel like I'm a little maybe out of the loop on this, I didn't feel like there was a lot of pressure around this decision. I didn't feel like people were, like, in part because Mariota got hurt and because of how the weekend went, everything, like, of course it happened today. And if it hadn't, then it's like, whatever. They're just playing games. These things, football teams do. But I didn't feel like there was a ton of pressure, a ton of anything around this decision. Was there a bunch of talk about, like, will he name him the starter? When will it happen? While I was gone 2 weeks ago?
Not that I can recall. And to be honest, I was still shocked that the decision was made today. And not that, this wasn't the decision to make, but it's more so. And I think it's going to, be about the conversation we have later in the week, whether or not, he should play. Personally, I don't think he should play in the final preseason game.
I agree.
But also, we have Hartman. We also have Mariota, who are both banged up. So, I mean, are we going to see, McSorley and Driscoll the entire game? Or,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe Marcus is back.
Yeah.
We don't know that yet. Hartman, I feel like, is a bit of a longer term situation. But I think that it just the benchmarks all along were going to be the joint practices.
Yeah.
And so I'm not surprised, even if they know. I mean, it kind of in some ways is like the decision to draft him. Like, Adam Peters was pretty sure in like February that Jayden Daniels was the guy that he wanted. But you just don't know what you don't know. So if you don't have to make a decision, then why wouldn't you play it out? Like, that's the thing is if you've been in jobs and relationships trying to solve problems for a long time, like, you might think you have a solution to something, or you might think that something is playing out a certain way, and then over time you get more information, and then you're like, wait a second, we need to make an adjustment here, or like, maybe this thing isn't the thing that I wanted. Your dream job, 3 months in, you realize, like, oh, once the honeymoon period is over and once they stop making things easy for me and expect me to do this part of the job that they were withholding because I was new, like, this actually sucks. Like, you don't know what you don't know over the course of time. And so I don't have a problem with them doing it. And I guess I really, like, I just think people need to be careful about, not be careful, because now I'm doing the thing, oh, you missed a banger on never read the comments last week. There was someone who was like, you got to be careful of Hoffman. And I was like, boo. Because I don't know what they meant. I think they said they thought I was a flip-flopper on stuff. And I was like, no. Sometimes you get new information and your opinion changes. It's different than flip-flopping. Not that it matters, but the point is, like, I think some people are confusing winning something on the merit when you're significantly better versus just like it's predetermined. Like, if Noah Lyles and Tyreek Hill want a race, Noah Lyles is going to win. Not because it's predetermined, but because Noah Lyles is better.
Yeah.
And if your expectations are something different going in, well, that makes you a fool. If, again, like to use an even wider gapped analogy, if I play one-on-one against LeBron James, it's going to look inevitable, almost rigged, how badly he wins one-on-one against me. But it's not actually predetermined other than our skill levels. There's a chance that if we were to play a one-on-one game, first to score wins, and I get the ball first, I catch the ball, turn around, and throw it up over my head, and somehow it goes in. Could I beat LeBron James in one-on-one? Does that possibility exist? Yes, it's not predetermined that he wins, but there's also a chance that he blocks that shot to the moon, goes and chases it down, and then dunks on me, and that's the inevitable outcome. And it's going to look predetermined because of how different the skill set is, but it's not. That's competition. It's just mismatched competition. And that's what this quarterback competition ultimately was. It was a mismatched competition where Jayden Daniels was certainly not the gap. I'm not going to be insulting to Marcus Mariota. Marcus isn't me and Jayden's not LeBron, but it is, I guess if you want to use the clout chaser of the moment, it is Tyreek Hill versus Noah Lyles, and Jayden is Noah, and Marcus is Tyreek. And there is a significant gap. That means 10 out of 10 times here, barring injuries and unforeseen circumstances, Jayden's going to win that job. And that's the thing that I think people get confused is merit can look predetermined if there's a talent gap, but it's still merit. That is merit acting on, he didn't have a chance. He did have a chance. Based off of the way the competition was set up, it didn't have a chance based off the talent discrepancy. But that's life.
Yeah.
So,
and
yeah.
I just think also Jayden just went out there and sort of kind of just took it like he didn't really have anything for us to, be mad at him about other than, his coaches being mad at him for checking a play in the first game or, him not getting down after running 13 yards in the second game. Like, outside of those two things, which are still teachable moments, he played flawless.
He played great. And the teachable moments are going to happen. They're going to continue to happen throughout his entire career. Like, Jayden could be a Hall of Famer by year 10 and play for 5 more years, and he'll do something in year 11 that's a teachable moment because the game is constantly evolving and changing. But I thought Kime put it really well fairly early in this process. It's like, look, this isn't Jayden versus Marcus. Like, that competition ended a long time ago. This was Jayden versus Daniels, if you will. Yeah. This was, can Jayden get to the level that they feel comfortable with him starting? If not, Marcus will carry, not because he's better, but because they don't want Jayden to stack bad reps and create any bad habits. And I think it became very apparent pretty quickly. And I think especially, like, he did have the rough day in the rain for a bunch of reasons against the Jets. That was real. That happened. People said that I wasn't there, but like people that were like, that wasn't the best. And if all of a sudden you're like, oh man, is that what it's going to be like day in, day out? Well, then I don't know if we want to do that to the kid. But then he goes down and crushes Miami and throws like 5 straight touchdown passes in a red zone drill. And you're like, oh, okay. I don't know which one's Jayden, which one's Daniels in the Jayden versus Daniels thing, but clearly whichever guy is the good one won.
Yeah.
So I think that's worth stating as well.
This is the Hoffman Show on the Team 980 and the Odyssey app.